it is Tiffany here today, driving with my crazy chauffeur again. So if the phone's bouncing all over the place, you know it's because somebody's driving. Anyways, I wanted to jump on here today and talk about failure. I have been thinking a lot about failure and listening to a lot of Brené Brown's work recently. She's just come out with a really awesome Netflix special about vulnerability, and I was listening to one of her TED Talks the other day, again for like the 50th time, about how shame makes us fear failure, and shame keeps us in this place of taking action because of our past mistakes or our past failures, and it stops us from taking action in the future and doing what it is that we know that we need to do to go to that next level. So I've had some pretty epic failures in my life, and I don't regret any of those experiences, and I wouldn't, if I could go back and change things, I would not do any of those things differently. Those times where I hit rock bottom, those times where I lost it all, I wouldn't do anything differently. And a lot of people think I'm crazy when I say that, except that I know the lessons that I got from that point, from those times. And those lessons ultimately have led me to where I am today, sitting here with my crazy chauffeur, and have given me the lessons that I've needed to be able to empower other people, set my business up the way that I have, I have a slew of massive opportunities coming my way. They're not even opportunities, they are massive things in the works that you guys are going to see explode over the next couple weeks and couple months. And so I wanted to just jump on here today and share some of those experiences with you, and share the lesson with you so that you can see why I don't view those things as failures, and why I am completely okay taking massive action now, because I don't believe that I can fail. The day that I fail will literally be the day that I die, because that just means that I stop getting back up. And I can tell you that the day that I'm on my deathbed, I'm not even going to view that as a failure, because I know the legacy that I've left behind. And when you can look at any circumstance and say that you're either going to win or you're going to learn, which is going to help you win in the future, suddenly there's no such thing as failure anymore. And that is the most important first step, really, to taking action. So before I get started, after that long preamble, I just want to remind you, head over to rewiringmymind.com. Got some freebies over there for you. It is well worth your time to join me at a live event so that we can get rid of your fear of failure and you can start taking massive action. And I'm not just talking about in business, I'm talking about in health, relationships, the whole 9 yards. Wherever you have a fear of failure right now, like, let's just get rid of that, and so you can start taking action. So one of the biggest failures I had, and was really the first time that my life hit rock bottom and I lost it all, was when I was living in Australia. Long story short, a lot of people have heard my story. If you haven't heard my story, buy my book. You can get it for like 99 cents on Amazon, and I outline it all in there. But I was living in Australia. I had been with my partner at the time for 3 years, and I found out that he had a girlfriend in another state on the same day that I found out I was pregnant. He was actually away with her. I thought he was at a job interview, and he was away in another state with her. I was gone by the time he got back, moved out, took the dog, who is my dog, took the dog, and had to start over. Now, then I ended up having a miscarriage. My body just could not handle the stress. So what I learned, that was like one of the most probably the most emotionally painful time that I've ever had. That was one of the only time in my life like I've actually considered ending everything, because I just didn't know how I was going to deal with the pain. I'm in Australia, my family is in Canada. had nothing. I had no money to go back to them. They weren't able to come down to me. And so there was just a lot of like not good stuff. And what I learned from all of that like nonsense that happened in a very short period of time, where I felt like life was just beating me down, was firstly, I knew that I had settled in that relationship. I knew, I had this gut feeling that there should be more, right? Like, you shouldn't just live paycheck to paycheck. You shouldn't have to argue to have somebody help you with the dishes every day. You know, it, like, life just shouldn't be that blah and difficult, and yet it was. And so, and I remember thinking that I had points in time where I was like, is this it? Like, am I really in love? Other people told us that we were the perfect couple. We had married couples telling us they wished that they had what we had. And so I believed that that's what it was. But deep down inside, I knew it wasn't, and I didn't want to hurt him. And so I stayed. And so I learned at that point that it is never worth it to stay if your gut is telling you that this is not the right person for you. I also had gut feelings that something wasn't right, that there was some lies going on. Except he knew me well enough to play me. He knew that marriage and the proposal and everything that goes with that was sacred to me, and I wanted the proposal to be a secret. And so anytime that I would question where he was or what he spent this random money on or whatever, he would always say, well, I was looking at a ring, and I would just stop the conversation, right? So he learned how to play me like a fiddle and get me to shut up real quick by bringing up things like that, and that stopped me from getting answers to the questions that I had. And so I've learned to listen to my gut, and if it tells me something dodgy is going on, figure out what that dodginess is. And I learned that I have to set boundaries. I learned so much, like we'd be on here for like 2 hours if I went through everything that I learned in that. But that was my biggest moment of learning, firstly, that I had to deal with my past abuse from my stepmom, that I had to deal with all of that stuff that I had with my biological dad, and that my lack of worthiness was leading me to settle in relationships and deal with behaviors that were not appropriate. That I wasn't being treated how I felt I needed to be treated. I've had a number of friends say to me, I wish you hadn't wasted 3 years on him. And the thing is not a single day, not a single second in that year was a waste, because if we hadn't been together for 3 years, if I hadn't been so emotionally, financially, just totally invested in that relationship, it would not have made me stop and look at my behavior the way that it did. Here's the thing. Pain is our biggest catalyst for change. We will not make change in our life until we are pushed to make change. Until the pain is so unbearable that we have to change. I'd had plenty of terrible relationships before that, but none of them were long enough for the pain to be that excruciating that I was forced to look at myself and say, what do I need to change? And so there was not a second in that 3 years that was wasted. Had it been any shorter, I don't know that I would have gotten the message that I needed. The second time I hit rock bottom, I learned to trust my gut about business partners. I learned to pay attention to the red flags. I learned to not have this delusion of, okay, this person is bad-mouthing everybody else, but they would never do it to me. This person is shady and dodgy towards everyone else, but they would never do that to me. This person, pulls power plays, and if I disagree with them, they call me delusional, but they're just passionate and emotional. It taught me to not look at somebody's potential and to look and evaluate somebody with the behavior that they are showing me now. If somebody lies to other people, if somebody badmouths other people, you can bet your butt they're going to do it to you at some point in time. If somebody is dodgy and shady towards other people, you can bet your butt they're going to do it to you at some point in time. So that made me recognize and learn a lot of lessons in business, that I can't rely on anybody else to read contracts, that I need to read them myself and understand them. I need access to the business bank accounts. It sounds like a no-brainer, except I know tons of people who get into business partnerships with people and they're like, well, I'm not a money person, so you just handle it. And they never ask for access to the bank accounts because they're not the money person. So they'll just let that person handle it, and we're friends or we have this partnership. So one thing that Marshall Silver tells me all the time that really hit me when he first said it was that honest people expect everybody else to be honest. And what I learned from that second time hitting rock bottom is that I have to evaluate people based on the behavior that they're showing me, not based on what I believe is possible for them, or the potential that I see, or the love and care that I have for them. I have to base my opinion on the actions they're showing me, not on the words that they're speaking to me. So every failure, quote unquote, that I've had has led me to being the person that I am today. And so I would not go back and change a single one of those instances. In fact, those people that hurt me or screwed me or whatever, I am grateful for them because they have taught me invaluable lessons. They taught me lessons that were worth far more than any amount of money or time that I lost. And so when you can start to flip that script in your brain and really say to yourself, what do I need to learn from this? Whatever it was, a relationship, a trainer, a coach, a business partner, a job, a vacation, whatever it is, nothing is ever a waste of time. Nothing is ever a failure because you learn. We were out to breakfast this morning with one of Sid's nieces, and she fell over. And I watched her as she figured out that every time she fell over, she figured out how to pick herself back up. We fall over a lot as kids, and we're totally okay with that because we recognize that that's how we learn how to balance and where to put our feet. And, we touch the hot stove and we learn, okay, well, don't touch that hot burner anymore because it hurts.
It's like I was worried about Lily. She was falling today.
Sid was saying he was worried about Nora Lee falling over this morning. And I just said to him, she's got to, it's okay if she falls now. We can't, you wouldn't wrap your kid in bubble wrap to stop them from falling over because that's how they learn to walk. And so stop doing it with yourself. If you give in to the fear of failure, you are essentially wrapping yourself with bubble wrap and stopping yourself from learning. So flip the script in your brain, start asking yourself, what did each of those failed relationships teach me? What did each of those failed businesses or failed ideas or failed attempts teach me? And if you need a little bit of help, make sure you go to rewiringmymind.com. I've got some freebies there. The last thing that I want to say is I put up a post about failures the other day and encouraged people to share their failures, firstly so that other people can see that when you fail, you survive. You don't lose a limb, you don't spontaneously combust, you're still alive, it's okay. I've had a $1.8 million business loss and I'm still standing here to talk about it. So failure is not this scary thing that we make it out to be. One of the people that commented on that post, they said, oh, this was my failure. And I asked them, what was the lesson? And they made an interesting comment and they said, well, I keep getting told that none of my business ideas are going to work out. And then I have that record playing in the back of my head when I attempt to do something on my own, or I attempt to do something different and action one of these ideas, and then the business never works out or the idea never works out, and maybe I should just listen to those people. For me, if you go into anything with somebody else's voice in the back of your head telling you you're going to be a failure, it's not going to work out. You're not going to be fully invested. You're still going to be sitting half on the fence. You're not going to go all the way in on yourself. And so my suggestion was, maybe you need to stop listening to that stuff and like fully back yourself. Maybe that's the lesson in this. Maybe you need to protect your ideas. As much as I talk about sharing your goals, I also know that you need to share your goals in the right setting. I don't tell just anybody my goals. There are certain people that I actually don't share my goals with because I know they will not believe in the goal. It's just the goal is too big or the dream is too big for where they are at in their level of consciousness, and there is no judgment against those people. I just recognize that I see things from a different level. I'm on a different stair in the staircase, and so I see the horizon differently than they do. So I know what is possible for me. And if somebody tells you that your ideas aren't very good, they're just telling you their reality. They're just projecting their reality on you. They're not saying anything about you. They're just telling you what they are not capable of doing. So I just wanted to jump on here and share that with you, and share that once you flip that script, once you decide to look at the things that don't go the way that you want them to as learning opportunities, and really sit down and reflect on those times and say, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to know? Everything will change. Your comfort zone will grow massively, and you'll be able to start taking a lot more bigger action because you won't be as scared of it anymore. Make sure you head to rewiringmymind.com, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.